All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking at the massive 2026 World Cup through two very distinct but deeply connected lenses: the athletic triumphs of the U.S. men's national team and the absolutely staggering economic windfall that's hitting Los Angeles County. We're going to explore how just a few weeks of world-class soccer can fundamentally shift both the sporting landscape and the local economy.
To really set the stage here, just think about the immense pressure on the U.S. team right now. U.S. captain Tim Ream totally nailed it. He talked about the added responsibility and the millions of added eyes that come with hosting the tournament for the first time in 32 years. But his ultimate takeaway is what's key. He's stepping onto the pitch with absolute conviction that this team can win the whole thing.
And man, did they ever live up to that hype. The U.S. men's national team opened their 2026 World Cup campaign with a dominant 4-1 victory over Paraguay right on home turf at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. It was literally the exact statement they needed to make to prove they belong on the world's biggest stage.
So here's the roadmap for today. We'll start with a dream start in LA, look at chasing past glory, talk about the home field advantage, and then shift gears to a $500 million windfall and exactly where the money goes.
Starting off with Part 1, a dream start in LA, kicking off the 2026 campaign at SoFi Stadium.
Jumping into the athletic side of things, the visceral excitement of that opening victory on June 12th was just off the charts. This mix of World Cup veterans and first-timers didn't just squeak out a win, they put on a historic show. Folarin Balogun powered the offense with an incredible brace, scoring 2 goals, and Reyna capped the whole thing off with a dramatic 98th-minute goal. By doing that, they helped set a new U.S. World Cup scoring record right in front of over 70,000 roaring fans. Talk about the perfect validation for a team carrying the weight of a host nation.
Moving on to Part 2, chasing past glory and the historical weight of the U.S. men's national team.
You know, to really grasp why this 2026 start is so momentous, we kind of have to rewind a bit. Despite a legendary third-place finish way back in the inaugural 1930 tournament down in Uruguay, the U.S. has historically struggled in the knockout stages. Sure, they hosted in 1994 and reached the round of 16, and we all remember that magical run to the quarterfinals in 2002 when they beat rival Mexico. But breaking through to that absolute top tier, that's been tough. And that makes this year's home turf campaign in a newly expanded 48-team tournament incredibly high stakes.
Which brings us to Part 3, the home field advantage, Group D's West Coast Fortress. Speaking of home turf, the U.S. team is leaning heavily on the West Coast, specifically Los Angeles, to serve as their fortress for this tournament. LA was honored with 8 total matches, including 2 crucial group stage appearances for the United States right in Inglewood. They open up with Paraguay, travel up to Seattle to face Australia, and then head right back to SoFi Stadium to play Turkey. They're clearly building a rhythm and a massive regional fan base by locking down the West Coast.
Okay, so we know the score on the grass. We've seen the goals, the fan reactions, the history being made. But here's the real question. What happens outside the stadium? What exactly goes down when roughly 150,000 out-of-town fans leave the stands and pour out into the local streets, the restaurants, and the hotels?
That takes us to Part 4, a $500 million windfall, translating soccer fans into major local economics.
Let's pivot this explainer completely over to the business side of things and look at the deeply researched economic impact report from Micronomics for LA County. Honestly, it's like a tale of 2 scoreboards. On the pitch, the team won a 4-1 athletic victory. But in the city, Los Angeles County is simultaneously winning a staggering $594 million economic windfall over the 39-day tournament. The sheer scale of this event is monumental, bringing in absolutely unprecedented revenue.
And it's really fascinating how a number that massive actually builds up. It's all about the ripple effect. $343 million comes from direct, immediate spending by tourists. You know, things like buying a meal, booking a room, or grabbing a taxi. But then that initial injection ripples into $251 million of follow-on impacts throughout the regional economy. Literally every dollar spent circulates, supporting supply chains and local businesses that might never even interact directly with a single soccer fan.
Now, to put that into perspective, and get this, a global soccer tournament is actually going to out-earn the Super Bowl in America. Because of the 39-day duration and international tourists who generally just spend at higher levels, this World Cup will significantly outperform the economic footprint of the 2022 Super Bowl, which, by the way, was held in the exact same stadium. We are looking at a nearly $120 million increase over one of America's biggest sporting spectacles. Crazy, right?
Finally, Part 5, where the money goes.
the regional breakdown of a global event. Now that we've wrapped our heads around the massive macro number, let's break down exactly which cities and industries are catching this tidal wave of cash. While Inglewood physically hosts the stadium and absorbs a very respectable $17.5 million, the broader hub of LA City captures a massive $250 million of the regional impact. Places like Long Beach and Santa Monica also see huge boosts as fans spread out to enjoy the beaches and the local culture between matches. The wealth truly just disperses across the entire county.
And what exactly are all these visitors buying? Well, with roughly 146,000 incremental unique visitors, they're spending an average of $2,350 each. About half of that pours directly into local lodging, to the tune of nearly 330,000 extra room nights added to the baseline occupancy. Then you've got intense spending on food, beverages, retail, ride shares, and entertainment venues. Basically, the entire service sector gets activated.
But listen, this isn't just about corporate revenue or, hotel profit margins. This economic boom hits everyday workers directly. We're talking about a highly tangible $243.2 million increase in local wages paid to employees in hospitality, retail, and transportation. That translates to more shifts, longer hours, and real money in the pockets of the people actually keeping the city running during the tournament.
And the public sector, they win big too. Ultimately, the city's general funds receive tens of millions, specifically $34.9 million for LA County and $22.3 million for the state, to be used for public safety, transportation, and social services. Plus, the sheer global television exposure acts as a $230 million commercial for future Los Angeles tourism. People are sitting at home watching these beautiful shots of LA on TV during the broadcast, and they're booking their next vacation there.
So, as we wrap this explainer up, we're really left with one undeniable question. The economic machinery of the city is operating flawlessly, and the fans have provided a historic home field advantage. So, will 2026 be the year the U.S. men's national team finally turns all this momentum into the ultimate prize? Thanks for exploring the pitch and the pocketbook with me today.